I thought we ended, really strong with a nice victory on the road at Purdue, and certainly finishing here at home on senior night with another key win for us. Wisconsin was playing very good basketball and really should have beaten Nebraska the game before. They were within 2, 3, 4 of their last few opponents. So it was going to be a challenge for us, and I was proud of the fact that we were able to gut it out and just get the win. And now it's time for the postseason. We play the winner of the Michigan-Indiana game, and so that always brings some interesting perspectives, I'm sure, for Spartan fans everywhere and our team and their team. So this seems, I think we've done this before, right? In the past, we've had a chance to play them in the 3 times. So it happens, and we'll see. But Indiana's playing very good basketball. So we're going to prepare for both teams equally as hard and work on the things we need to be the best we can be when we go to the tournament. It's a new venue. So, things like, I know our hotel is takes at least 20 minutes. That's without traffic and, Chicago traffic. So it's going to be interesting logistics and dynamics. But got to play somebody somewhere sometime, as I say. So we'll figure a way to make it work and look forward to the challenges. I'll take questions.
Suzy, can you just kind of talk about your thoughts on going to the new venue, and also, just with the expansion of the league in the future, do you think that this tournament should move the same week as the men's in the future as well, too?
Yeah, I'm not really sure what to expect. I've never been to this arena. The one thing I do know is I really appreciated the proximity and the intimacy of Indianapolis. I know our fans did. Everything was walking distance, from restaurants to shops, and things to do. Everything was, within a few blocks. This is obviously uniquely different. We're not even in the same, facility that the men will play, which is different as well. And, I'm not sure, but I do know, with it being, for us, with it being an evening game on Friday, we hope that our fans come out. That's one positive, I guess you can look at it, that, I know our fans will come, but the fact that we got the bye and we are going to play on a Friday, and it's going to be the last game, or 8:30 game, that'll make it a little bit nicer for our fans. What was the second part of your question?
Oh, just do you think it should?
With the expansion of the league? Yeah, I don't know. I'm not going to comment on expansion of the league. It just seems to be changing all the time. But I do know what you're saying, and I'm interested to see where the Big Ten wants to take the tournament in terms of if we play the same time as the men. If we don't, I know there's 4 tournaments beginning ourselves: ACC, Pac-12, and I believe the SEC begins right now from the women's side. So those groups have a little bit of a layover, but I'm not sure. I felt like the end of our season, the one thing I felt from a Spartan perspective was we had a couple 3-game weeks in February, late February, that were, hard. We played this last week. We played Monday, Thursday, Sunday. That's a lot of games in a short period of time. 2 of them on the road, and I know other people have that as well. It just seemed like ours ended at the very, very end. So, it would be nice to have a little more flexibility to expand some things throughout at least the non-conference. And we put a lot of weight and emphasis on positioning, seeding, winning the league. It would be nice to have an opportunity where, those games were not as compact, a little bit more like the men. You maybe only have 1 week of 3 games in a week. Jeez, you guys are full of them today, huh? You're waiting for the big guy, aren't you?
Suzy, what makes Indiana a difficult team to play this time of year?
I'm sorry.
Back here.
Okay.
What makes Indiana a difficult team to play this time of year, even though they're in 12th place in the league?
Yeah, our side is so much similar to the men's side, too. The women's side is exactly like the men's side, in that anybody can beat anybody on any given night. And you have to respect and appreciate and go into every game like it's your last. Indiana, since we've played them here, has in the last 4 or 5 games been right there. 4 or 5 point losses. Obviously beat Purdue kind of on a spectacular shot, but it was certainly a 1 possession game at the end of the game. What makes them challenging to guard is ball screens and their swing guys. Their swing guys are as good as anybody in the league, and Jasmine McGee and Aliana Sinclair. So those kids, when they get it rolling and both of them contribute on the same night, they can beat and be in any game and have an opportunity to beat anybody in our conference.
And what about if you get a chance to play Michigan? Playing a rivalry game on a neutral site is a different thing because home court is always such a big deal in a game like that.
Yeah, I certainly felt that. I mean, I think, Tom felt that too. It's just, we had beaten them here by 19 and turned around. It was a 1-point game at their place. So certainly home court advantage makes a difference. The crowd, the emphasis. The thing that makes Michigan difficult is, I think they're just a very veteran team. There's times when they have 5 seniors out there. I think that they're very seasoned. They've played and logged a lot of minutes. All those kids have played under Borseth and now Kim. So I think that, they're a group that really knows what to expect. A rivalry game on a neutral site is interesting. We've played them in this situation before. So we'll see. I mean, they're going to have a game under their belts. I look at it either way. People can say, well, they got to play a game back to back. But I look at it as at least they got in the facility and got the jitters out. If they do win, I'm assuming that they would win for us to play them, obviously. So you look at it like that, and it's like at least they've been in the facility, know what it's like, been on the rims, had to compete and fight to win a game. So, I think sometimes there's a little advantage to playing. On the other side, I appreciate a little bit of time as well for our group because we're not super deep. But it's interesting. I don't know. I don't know if the fans will come into effect as much, with the travel situation if we get an opportunity to play them on Friday or not.
Suzy, I know the beginning of the season was frustrating when you had so few bodies just even available, but looking back on it now, did that create some sort of toughness or maybe more, I don't know, you could move some pieces around? Did that create some positives in the long run for this team?
I do. I think it gave some people, well, first it creates accountability. I mean, if you don't perform, we don't win. So it's kind of, there's nobody else, when you look at it. It was a situation where, if those 5 kids, 6 kids at the time really were not performing at a high level, we wouldn't obviously do very well. So there was a lot of pressure right from the beginning. There wasn't a lot of thought process on if I'm going to play, if I make a mistake. I think in some ways it allowed them just to relax and play, make or miss shots. Defensively, I think they really tried to commit to that end, but if they made a mistake, they knew they weren't going to get pulled because there was really nowhere else for that, person to go. There was nobody else to put in at that time. So, I think on one level it really helped us. It helped us come together earlier and, as you mentioned, create a little bit of toughness and accountability out of the gates.
Suzy, can you kind of talk about Kiana Johnson and just the value that she's kind of been as she worked her way into the starting lineup towards the latter part of the season?
Yeah, Kiana has, I'd say that Chicago swag or confidence, whatever you want to say. She definitely brings that. She loves to play in the games. She's a great facilitator, commanding presence. I think that's been positive. Her and JT have worked really, really well together. It hasn't been a situation where they haven't been on the same page, even though they at times play the same positions. It's been nice to see them connect and really contribute and give to each other on the court. I don't think the competition there was a negative thing. It was a positive thing. They were really rallying around each other. Kiana was certainly her biggest champion when she wasn't playing. So I think that's positive. And then, her assist-to-turnover ratio is always really good with Kiana, and she does a nice job of creating shots for other people. So on a team that doesn't score on its own a lot, that really needs, key things, whether it be a screen or a setup or a set play or a matchup situation, she does a great job of creating shots for an Annalise, a Becca, a Jazz, somebody like that.
Suzy, I want to talk to you about March, other than being a huge baseball month. I talked to a local...
Shocking you would say something like that, Fred.
Talked to a local...
You and baseball.
Talked to a local basketball coach last night, and I said something about calling me if you're up, and he said, up, I don't sleep, it's March. Mm-hmm. What does March do to you?
Well, it certainly re-energizes you. This time of year, I think you get to March and you get excited about the possibilities. I mean, that's what you work so hard for as a coach, and I'm pleased with where we're at, but certainly know we've got a tough challenge ahead of us this weekend. For me, it's what I don't sleep a whole lot anyway. I mean, I do have 2 children under the age of 6, so you add that into the mix. And plus, obviously, we're in a recruiting time right now, too. So you add both those things into a very busy prep time. I'm not a big sleeper during basketball season anyway. But it does for me. What it does is bring out maybe a little more feistiness, a little more competitiveness. My drive is definitely higher. more film watching, obviously. You're just in that survive and advance mode, and if you don't survive, you don't advance. So, for us, it's about pouring all your energy and emphasis and focus into the game you're about to play. And if you don't do that, there won't be another day. So for me, I probably get a little heightened and more aggressive when it comes to preparation, much to my team's probably disappointment. They're like, we got to go over that again? Yes, we do. Yes, we do. So for me, I'm just probably overdo it a little bit when it comes to prep, but I'd rather be more prepared than less. I don't know. I should know that because I came from a baseball family, but I don't know. I'm in blinder mode. I know that they're in spring training, right? Positive. Check the box. I did all right there. And I know Jake is playing and Jackie's playing, but I did hear they got snowed out the other day. Is that true? Oh, my word. That's quite, they've had twice? That's why I coach an indoor sport. It's sunny and 70 in the Breslin every day.
Suzy, I just wanted to, what's your philosophy on timeouts towards the end of halves or end of games in close situations?
Well, I think some of it's a feel for your team, but I think more times than not, I am a timeout person, just because, again, I'll kind of talk a little bit about what Fred asked me, or just to reiterate there, is that, you want your team fully prepared. On some sides, it's like that's the defense doesn't get set if it's an offensive situation or vice versa, but I don't know. I've always erred on the side a little bit of making sure everybody's on the same page, from coaches to players. I won't waste the 30-second timeout in the first half, whether you use it or lose it. I'm not a big, I should use it just because I have it person. That's the one that I really don't value all that much. If I need it in the first half, certainly I'll call it. But beyond that, if I don't need it, I'm not going to use it. But I like to have 2 or 3 at the end of a game for sure. If we can survive. And honestly, Chris, with all the media timeouts, we should be able to regroup and get it together. I mean, they're 10 4-minute games is kind of what we look at. If I have to call a lot of them in between, obviously things are not going very well. So I like to have 2 or 3 at the end of a game, certainly in case things don't go your way or you need them.